Welcome, everybody, to November and Mindfulness with Marsha. I received a great question that was asked concerning our last month's focus on creating space in our lives for all the things that we want to and need to get done. This fellow rancher expressed a desire to make more time for himself, for more self-care. However, it seemed that every day there was very little left of what I might call you time, or for me time. He even diligently worked on the math portion, bravo to him, to really look at how many tasks did he have to do that were non-negotiable, how many things that he want to get done, whether that be with family, friends, or for himself, for some me time. And he even looked at that finite resource called time. But every way he tried to prioritize, he just kept coming up short. What a great piece of insight that he had. And a great question that he asked on, do you have any suggestions on how I can create or have more of this me time? I will make a humble attempt to respond today, drawing on what I've learned from my teachers and from other mindfulness practitioners, as well as some personal experience, because I can tell you that I too struggled at a very deep level, which I will share in a moment, with finding some me time. But I learned, and finally, and it was not overnight, mind you, this took several years to recognize what I would say is within us. There's this well of energy that must be regularly replenished. I skimmed the topic a little bit last month when I mentioned a few weeks ago that when I was looking at scheduling my wants and have to tasks in my time, that life has variables, life changes, and we must attune to it. And I gave the example of my age, which might be better described here to say what it was about my age is that I actually have a lower energy well as I grow older. I simply cannot, no matter what I do, get as much done. And I think specifically for me, I think a lot about in the yard and the things I used to get done gardening. I can't get the same amount of things done in the same amount of time. And that's in part due to my diminishing energy well. Yeah, there's other variables like I have a bum knee and, my lower back will hurt, but there's this energy piece too that changes. It changes as I got older. It can even change from day to day, just in the things that we're doing or the kinds of activities or the things how we're feeling if we're not feeling well. And I used to get really angry about this, and I tried to just make it happen or dismiss it altogether and say, forget it. I don't care that you're getting older. You're still going to get all this done. But it's a real fact, folks. We have this energy well. And when we act as if this energy well is like bottomless, and we schedule this humongous list of activities that need to fit the puzzle pieces into every minute of every day, well, that energy well becomes depleted and we totally feel exhausted, disconnected, weak, frustrated, failure. And it's really because, again, just like before, we weren't looking at that limited amount of time, we're not taking into account our energy wells. So refilling this well is a matter of finding time to focus on and nurture your self-care for yourself or your you time. Most of us are at different times throughout the day We play different roles. We're a spouse, a friend, a relative, an employee, an employer, a parent, a volunteer, which means that downtime, however relaxing in nature, sometimes is not necessarily you time. And though some people will inevitably look upon you time as being selfish and have the t-shirt, it's actually, and I've learned to recognize the polar opposite of selfishness. Oh, sure, would talk about and share with others. You have to put your gas mask or your oxygen mask on first in the airplane before you help others. You can't go down first or you'll have nothing left to help anybody else. But we can only excel where our outer world affairs are concerned, when our own spiritual, physical, and intellectual needs are met. And I want to say not just met like cha-ching, I check it off, but you feel fulfilled in those areas. But here's the tough part, my friends. Recognizing the importance of you time, it's kind of like that oxygen mask, is far easier than finding a place for it in an active, multifaceted lifestyle that we lead. However, if you find a spot for it in your agenda, you may be dismayed to discover that your thoughts continuously stray into that worldly territory, into that area of these are the things I should be doing rather than taking care of myself. So I'll just share a couple tricks that I've used. I discovered that to make the most of, and I'm going to say my time, or me time is what I call it, I regularly give myself enough time on either side of the block of time that I plan to schedule on myself to really ensure that this is just as important as any other appointment that I have in the day. It ensures that I don't feel rushed. And for reasons that I think you'll discover, the fact that you allow enough time often allows you to feel like it's not as selfish, that it's just like anything else that you need to get done during the day. Another important aspect is to consider how you'd like to pass the time. You see, you can't just say me time, like today at 4, I'm going to have some me time, and you don't have any clue what that means. And forgetting for a moment your obligations and embracing the notion of renewal is pretty easy when you haven't described what that me time is going to be. You see, I can remember like yesterday when I was asked by a really caring friend, and she just looked at me and she says, "What can you do tonight that's just for Marcia? What would Marcia like to do tonight?" I was stymied. I had absolutely no thought of how to answer. And remember when I first started this journey, I was a real thinker. I had lots of thoughts. And there was like nothing. There was like no idea, no thoughts. And then, of course, I started to kind of panic, like, how dumb are you? You can't even answer this. And then the should started coming in because I was really in the should mode then. You should be able to answer this. Just come up with something. Just tell them, like, as if they really care. All of that was coming out. I had to actually learn what I would like to do for myself. I remember exercises where I actually was trying to list things that I liked or would like to do or like to be involved in for me time. It was so painful and it was hard, but I'm happy to report to you that now I have a list of things that I would love to do during my me time, and I schedule these activities regularly. So just in wrapping up, even if you've achieved a functioning work-life balance and you really feel that you have a handle on not being so rushed and not being so crazy during the day, you still might be neglecting the most important part of that equation. That's you. That you time prepares you for the next round of daily life, whether you're poised to immerse yourself in a professional project or simply chores around the house. It also affords you a very unique, and until you begin to do this, you won't really realize what a unique opportunity will come about to learn about yourself. As I keep practicing, I learn more about my needs, what I want to do in those different areas to build myself up, and even my tolerances in real concrete ways, not just sort of ambiguous good words, but real ways. Because as important as you time can sometimes seem, it's truly crucial to your well-being because it ensures that you're never left without the energy to give of yourself. That energy well won't get drained, and so you start to fall into some of those old habits, old stresses, just because your energy well is depleted. So this week, what I'd like you to do is take pause, but use your pause for you time. Now, it doesn't have to be lengthy, not a lengthy pause or anything fancy. I mean, of course, if you could schedule a massage, include me, or throw some hoops with your buddies for an hour at the gym, that's great. Do that. But maybe you're like me and the thought of it is just like absolutely scary and strange and just foreign. Maybe you'll need to take baby steps. I remember one of the first things I did for you time was simply have a cup of tea sitting in a chair outside on my patio for about 10 minutes because it was like, I don't know if I could do something for myself for longer than 10 minutes. I mean, I was a wreck, you guys. I really didn't know how to do this. So there's hope. There's hope for all of us. But you have to kind of break through that fear, and it's just like anything else, any other habit you're trying to do, you have to actually practice it. You can't just say, well, maybe I'll have a cup of tea. No, you actually have to do it. So plan it and do it. Do it for you because you are so worth it.